Welcome to the special called meeting. We are going to start with the pledge and invocation by Mr. White.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everybody bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, it's by your grace that we are able to attend this meeting tonight. Please watch over us and give us the wisdom. Let us make sound, strategic, and common sense decisions for the students of this county. The students are current and future leaders for the county, state, and the nation. Look over Joshua Blackledge and family and friends during this tragic time of his passing. Watch over them, guide them, and comfort them, and help them to get through this situation. Father, let us thank the service members and the local first responders that watch over us. Look over the military, for they give us the freedom to attend these meetings. In Jesus' heavenly name, amen.
Amen.
We can start with the approval of the meeting agenda.
Motion?
Motion by Ms. Chadwick, second by Mr. Chambers. All in favor? Great. And we are going to start with the capital budget, I believe.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So we're going to be presenting the capital budget to you first, and then Ms. Bernotsky will present the operating budget. And before you have a packet, it's very similar to the packet that we talked about in our workshop. And so I'm not going to go over every project unless you have questions or want me to. I was just going to highlight some of the changes that were made from the last time. You'll see on the summary page that the total ask for the total request is $4,368,256. That's way down from what it was in the past when we had the technology in there, and I'll go over that when we get to the technology page. So on page 3, this is a summary of what each school, the projects for this coming year, 25-26, and you see that totals $1,386,000, and that would be in planned repairs. And the following pages is just a breakdown of what those projects are. So like on page 4, you'll see Atlantic Elementary School. There's a new playground. There's replace the tile in the bathroom. We've talked about that before. And replacement of a swing set. So all 3 of those projects stayed in this year because they're needed for this year, this coming year. But you'll see, like at Beaufort Elementary School, the rolling gate, security gate, we pushed out a year to 26-27. The playground equipment for the kindergarten, that is still needed, and so we left that in this past year, or in this coming year. So the schools are, we've discussed every project. It's just that we've moved some projects out from next year to the following year or the following year. And it was just done strategically on what was, you asked me to what is needed at the schools. And so if it wasn't an urgent need, it was pushed out another year. Do you want to go school by school, or do you just want to look through it yourselves? I'll gladly do it.
As long as you've
I
highlighted
don't
any
feel like we need
changes
to.
that were made since our previous meeting, I'm good with.
Okay. I don't know that it's highlighted other than they're just shoved out. So I can, for instance, the tennis courts were on one school and not another, but I went ahead and shoved both of them out since we're kind of in discussion about what we're going to do with tennis courts. So that project was shoved out for Croatown High School the next year, and West Carteret also. At Harkers Island, this paving the staff parking lot was shoved out another year. At Newport Elementary School, they don't have anything on the books for next year because the only project they had was pave the walking track, and so we pushed that out. another year. And so if we flip through to page 25 is where we have the all physical plants. We talked about the defibrillators are needed. They're 15 years old. The rest of those projects. A new item that we're going to ask for money recurring is the replacement cameras. We're having cameras that are failing regularly at all of our schools, and we don't have in the past, we haven't had a budget line item for that. And we're also changing over from analog cameras to digital cameras, and so that's what the $25,000 is, just to use that many, go through that many cameras a year, just to, for security reasons. Next, we have the painting schedule, which is on page 26. This is something we do on a 7-year rotation. So next year, Beaufort L, Morehead City Primary, and Smyrna and Down East Middle will be painted. On page 27, we have our flooring replacement. So that would be Atlantic Media and office area, Bridges, West Carteret, and White Oak. That's when we say flooring, that's carpet in the media, in this type of carpet that's in this room. 28 and 29 are roofing replacement schedules. We're in good shape for the next several years with our roofs. On page 30 is our chiller replacement schedule. 31 is information, it's our boiler information. 32 is where most of our changes have taken place since the last meeting. So you remember we had the first project on page 32 is the projector and TV replacement. We broke that down into 2 parts. So next year would be year 1 of 2 in that project. So the price was half of what it was originally. The Chromebooks, that was a $7 million basically ticket on the last meeting. We've decided that a new plan, and instead of getting all Chromebooks in 1 year and going 5 years and paying either upfront or for a 59-month lease, that we would start a new schedule for basically we would get 1/4 of the Chromebooks needed every year. And so it would be on a 4-year cycle of these Chromebooks would be replaced. And this year it would cost us $687,000. Is that number right? Okay. So $687,000 in this cycle, and that would be a recurring cost year after year. But it eliminates of that big year of having to spend $7 million up front. So we thought that was a better plan. And Mike's team has looked at and thinks that we have the Chromebooks in hand right now that will get us through this plan until we get on the cycle of replacing them all. We can use some older ones for spare parts. So that's much lower. And then, of course, we have to have the license for the software, and that's $144,000. So the total technology request is $1.172 million. But much lower than it was. Page 33 is what we refer to as our B&G money. That's, schools are allotted that money per ADM. Nothing changed on this since the last meeting. And then the final schedules is their vehicle replacement plan, and it hasn't changed. It's 2 activity buses, a work truck, and a warehouse high cube truck. So, any questions on the capital budget? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I noticed that the scoreboard for the baseball field at Croatan was removed. What's your plan there?
It's going to be replaced. We're in the process of getting that work done.
This year?
Yes.
Great.
So
Good to
so
know.
we were
Thank
able to take it off of the capital for next year since we're planning on, Croatan raised a bunch of money to get that done, and Kenny's going to help out, and we're going to get that up.
Very
May
good.
not be before baseball season's over, but it'll be up this year.
Great.
All right, good question. Any more questions?
I really appreciate the Chromebook. I think that's a much smarter plan to have that recurring instead of us asking for 4 or 5 million at a time.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, what happens to surplus equipment? Does it go online and,
We sell it on, Gov Deals, or Mike, for computer equipment, it's,
We have a supplier that does that for us, and we turn around and use that, so we don't have to ask for server upgrades, and that's reinvested in our data centers.
great, okay, smart with that.
any other questions before I turn it over to Julie? All right, Julie?
All right. So the local budget that you have in front of you has changed just a little bit since you last saw it during the work session. A few items have been changed. I got notice just this morning that property insurance will be going up 10% across the board, plus a 3% increase for property valuations. So that increase has now been put into that line, which has thus increased the budget. We also added a $6,000 recurring line item for camera licenses. This is just part of technology. To use the cameras, we have to have the licenses. This is just a new cost that we have to incur. We also added a line for one SRO. This year, when we received the safety and security grant from the state, we got funding for all but one SRO. So that's a $36,000 line item that has been added to the local budget. Other than that, this budget is the same as what you saw last after the work group session that you had. And if you have any questions or comments or any changes you'd like to make, we can discuss.
Perfect.
So I'll say, there were board member requests for certain items, and but we felt like the board needed to vote on those. So if it needed to be discussed and voted on, then we can make the changes now before the vote is at the end of the meeting.
Okay. I think besides Ms. Kurzich, which I have yours here, everything else was just questions for clarification that I got this week. But if we wanted, or if you want to, go through yours and see, or I'm happy to.
I would like to see an increase for the certified supplemental. I think it's important to show our teachers, appreciation and gratitude for the work that they put in. They're our front line at our excellent scores. Something just to show appreciation. Cost of living has gone up significantly. So I know neighboring counties pay a little bit higher than us. I think it's important to add that in.
And I believe, depending on what we chose to do, if people wanted to do a request, Ms. Bernowski already let us know 7.75 to 8.25% is $275,000. 7.75 to 10% would be a 1.1 million increase to the request.
And remember, this will be a recurring increase.
Correct.
So we're at 7.75%. So 8.25% would be half
Would
a
be a
percent.
$275,000 increase, and then 7.75 to 10 would be a $1.1 million increase to the request.
I've seen other counties do where they have a set rate for standard, positions, and then a higher rate for hard-to-fill positions. I think that could even be considered, the lower rate for traditional certified, and then a slightly higher rate for those harder-to-fill positions.
Does that kind of allude to the 3% for bus drivers?
No, that's separate from bus drivers. Right now, I'm talking about certified teachers.
Yeah, so I think we need to be cognizant of the fact that, 3 years ago, we increased supplements for teachers?
More than requested.
Yes. What we need, but we did not address bus drivers, we did not address coaches. So I think that in the big picture, we need to consider that if we're going to do this, we need to consider all of our employees,
For sure.
which changes that number a little bit more.
Sure.
So, just my opinion.
Yeah, and
One
the
person.
bus drivers significantly need to be addressed. I mean, that's a
So do
big-
coaches, I mean, so do,
The coaches,
Yeah.
I think, need to be increased also. If you look at the hours that they devote to our students, that's not even minimum wage on top of all the hours that
Right.
they put in.
100% agree with you.
But is,
10 years and 12 years, and these are the supplements that the teachers in 10 years and 12 years, and these are the supplements that the teachers in Craven County are getting, and we know we ask a lot of you, but we just wanted to be transparent. I mean, would it be beneficial to go separately with this?
Kind of similar to what we did last year, like this is
I
what we
would
need
prefer
to
to do
maintain,
that.
this is what we need to maintain to not lose any positions, to continue what we're doing, because it is more, it's more every year just to maintain our same staff.
Well-
And then that extra, this is what we would love to have, and this is why we feel that's important.
I think we submit a status quo budget, like to keep what we're doing
We
the
have to
same,
have.
but then do something separate, because I don't want to get to a point where we are kiboshed on more stuff, because it's all lumped together, and it looks like we're just asking for,
Yeah, we can put that together. We did, like Katie said, we did something similar last year where we had, this is the stay flat funded, and then these are other items that we would like to be considered, so we can put that together.
and these are why we're asking for them.
Right. So, but we would need to know, so what percentage of supplement would you want to, I mean, are we considering 8.25? Is that the number, or 10%? And we're talking about certified staff, but if we're talking about certified staff, and we haven't talked about classified staff also.
Right.
So right now, we're at.
Can you give me a
7
definition of classified?
The
Are
hourly.
those- That's the
Yeah,
hourly
so
employees.
TAs, bus drivers,
Okay.
kitchen workers, so,
Are they also at 7.75, or are they at
they're at 3.75.
3.75?
So that was changed a couple years ago. It was, classified employees were at 1.75 and certified were at 5.75. And, about 3 years ago, that's when it changed to 7.75 and 3. It was a 2% bump in both categories.
That's what I was just gonna ask. So we were at 5.75 on certified before, I can't rem.
Yes.
Okay,
Now it's
okay.
at 7.75.
I think we requested maybe 0.5%, and they did too.
But the coaches supplement did not go up, putting that out there,
Yeah.
so.
I'd like to see certified at 9%, classified at 5%, bus drivers at 3%, coaches at 5%.
Can you say those again?
Okay, hold on
Yeah,
just a
let me see
second.
that.
So 9%, and let me,
I'm not trying to-
so certified, 5% for classified. And then are you saying a 3% raise for bus drivers?
Because there's nothing in there for bus drivers right now, is my understanding. Is that correct?
They're classified.
Classified.
Oh, they're classified, okay. Then I'll just leave it at that then.
And then for, you said for coaches, what was the?
What did I just
percentage?
say? 5 sound good?
5%?
But are we talking about a 5% raise, or, because right now coaches don't get, I mean, they get a,
I know it's a set schedule, but whatever on that set schedule is 5%.
5% increase to their salaries, basically, their
Well,
stipends.
Their stipends,
Okay.
yes.
So basically, we've got certified, classified, and coaches.
9%.
So that's going to be 1.
I also know that gymnastics is being talked about at some of the high schools. I'd like to add that line item as a potential for a coaching stipend.
They are talking about that. They reached out to me this week, but it wouldn't be anything that required funding.
Because they're willing to do it as a volunteer basis, but I feel like whoever coaches it should get something.
So.
You're right, they're not-
And I appreciate that. I am a advocate for the coaches, but we have got assistant coaches and other coaches who are working for free right now, and rather than adding money for a potential gymnastics coach, it would, it would look bad if we're not taking care of the existing coaches who are
I
working for free.
agree. I would
So
propose
I
we do
think
both.
that we need to take this step by step, and instead of going and saying we need millions of dollars, let's focus on the most important thing, which is showing our gratitude to them, and let's get their stuff bumped up. Let's work to do that. And then we can take the next step and start adding coaches' salaries or coaching stipends for gymnastics or whatever. But I think it would not
What would that be,
benefit.
though? 600 for 3 high schools?
I don't know.
The
I'm not,
lowest rate I saw?
do you have a ballpark figure?
I'll have to pull it up.
It doesn't have to be exact.
Well, for high school, 2,000 or 1,500 for a head coach is the lowest. 1,500.
So do we know how many head coaches we have?
5%, $75.
I don't know the answer to that
We would
question.
have to dig
Yeah.
into that.
And is this just at one school, or is this the whole,
High
all schools?
It's all schools included.
Just 3.
So what is the supplement budgeted amount right now for the coaching budget? I mean, what are we talking about? By adding this supplement? I mean, adding, a supplement on top. To what?
What are we currently?
Right now, we have a budget proposed at 591,700.
600,000?
So $30,000? Which I think, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think that's unreasonable to ask for that. That's just my opinion, but
Is that enough?
I don't ever think it's enough. I think our teachers should get paid double, and our coaches should get paid double, and our classified staff should get paid. So to answer your question, I don't think it's ever enough. But, you know, we don't come up with the money, somebody else does. We've just got to be thoughtful and talk to them and try and, you know, explain to them that our school system is the best in the state, and they've got to help us keep it that way. So that's our job. So I think anything would be great, gratefully appreciated by the coaches, though, because I think it's been 12 years since they have had any kind of increase. Again, classified and certified were increased 3 years ago. They hadn't had an increase in 12 years, so. So if we take it to the commissioners and they say, well, we gave these increases 3 years ago, but let's give the coaches something. I mean, we've gotten one step ahead than not getting anything. So, I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask. So,
How does, this is local funding, how does state funding affect those positions also? Is there a percentage for the stipends for them?
For coaching?
Yeah,
No, that-
well, for certified.
No,
Certified
all supplements are paid through local money. So for certified and classified and coaches, it's all local money. So I've heard you say we'll present a budget that's to stay flat funded. We currently, we're adopting right now. And then separately, we're going to calculate how much it would cost to have a 9% increase or a 9% total supplement for certified staff, a 5% for classified staff, and a 5% increase in the coaches' supplements.
well, before we do that, I'd like to say something. I want us to do our due diligence to make sure that that falls in line with other counties, okay? I mean, if other counties are at 11%, then are we still selling ourselves short? If they're at 8%, are we, I mean, I want us to
Are we talking
go,
about coaches' supplements or?
I'm talking about certified. I want us to, or whatever it may be, I want us to go in with
The assistant principal internship and the assistant principal internship, and, because that's a state-paid position, right?
Not really. I mean, we get a $45,000 allotment from ECU for an intern, and it's only in the first year that they are working for us. So it's a 2-year program. We get $45,000 the first year, and then that's it.
And it's one per county, or is that all we asked for? Could it be different schools? How does that
No,
work?
we're allocated one per cycle, and it's not even every year.
Okay.
So it's
So
whenever-
that's not feasible to
No, ma'am.
try to get, okay.
Sorry, I don't know where you're. The BOE development, I think that's our personal development, the hours that we're required to get, right? It's pretty much funded at what we need to get those hours.
Right.
So we're more than double right now at what was previously budgeted.
I think between the online video subscription and then some of the travel to like state convention, correct?
Right.
Make sure I'm correct.
I think there's
So
been
the-
some more expenses with new board members as well. When you have
Sure.
an influx of, 3 new board members, you're going to have a lot more training.
But that's typical, isn't it? Because that's a two, no?
Usually it's not 3 that come through.
Right. And more of you attended the School Boards Association conference this year than usual. I mean,
I think in the last 3 or 4 years, it's been more each year, so.
Right.
Not a bad thing, but. The food level for BOE, that was the funds you said are given to the high schools, most
Yeah,
of
so
it.
typically, we will have the culinary programs provide food for the board before the meetings. This, kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. You guys get food, but the culinary programs also have requirements where they have to provide food a certain number of times for their program. This helps tick that box. And then by us paying them for that food, the money gets put right back into the program.
Kind of like a fundraiser.
Yep. And then the next suggestion was to increase Board of Ed comp by 3%. It hasn't been raised in a long time, and I'm definitely aware of that. I've been here 4 years. Some of these have been here 6, but I personally am not comfortable asking for an increase while we're asking for these things for staff, but open to what you have.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that we need to focus on our staff.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm good.
And then the contracted legal services, what did Ms. Brasky say? The contracted legal services, you said that's just what we've.
That's our board attorney.
You gotta have it.
We have to have him.
So the amount that I have listed there matches his
Okay.
increase for this year, so.
Okay, Neil.
so he doesn't go up in cost.
Okay, fine.
So is that a contract, or does he charge us hourly for actual hours
He
incurred?
has a contract with this, however, I think that if he's engaged in something outside the realm of what that contract stipulates, then he can charge an hourly rate.
And so it's just higher than we expected, and we need to increase it?
Yeah, well, when there's lawsuits and other things, then his services are needed more, so it kind of fluctuates. So,
Okay. Any other questions?
Can you explain the ESCO utilities thing a little bit more to me, please?
I can. That is our ESCO project. So this would have happened before I came on in 2013. Back then, they had a contract go into place where a vendor came in and helped figure out different things that could be done around the schools and all of our facilities to try to make us more energy efficient. The contract, I believe, was a 15-year term. It's set to expire, I believe, in 2029. The contract stipulates we pay that amount of money. I don't know, Mr. Paler might be able to.
Okay, so we're stuck in that
It
contract.
predates all
We've
of
gotta
us,
pay for it.
and if we could get out of it, we could. We've looked into it, but we're pretty much
Did it save
stuck.
us money?
Probably not.
Does that include Johnson Controls?
That is Johnson Controls. That's
Okay,
exactly what
okay,
it is.
okay. All right.
And don't get me started. And if you want information on Johnson Controls, I know everything there is to know.
If we're stuck in a contract, that's fine. I just hope
Well,
it's doing us
that's,
well.
Yeah, it was the thermostat people.
Thermostat people.
Part of it does include, it's not necessarily Johnson Controls, but part of it is, it talks about set points for temperatures, which is Johnson Controls.
Yes.
But it also had all kinds of things in there, how to save money with using
Flush
green
management.
hour and only flush toilets that flush with a certain amount of water. It talks about, lighting in buildings, so anyway, it's, we're locked in, and that is, it predates all of us, but it is what it is.
Has anyone talked about solar panels for schools?
Not to my knowledge.
I don't think if Johnson Controls doesn't let it happen, then we're out of luck, buddy. At
We
least
got
till
4 years to plan for it.
2029,
We got
so,
4 years to
yeah.
plan for it.
Yeah. So,
Any other questions?
Any other questions on so we'll, just to make sure, because we're going to vote on a budget, so the budget before you is status quo, and then we'll prepare a side document that has, I just want to make sure I got this right. So we'll do 9% certified, but we'll also explore other percentages and let you know the cost of those.
correct.
Okay. We'll do a 5% for classified staff, and then a 5% increase to coaches' supplements.
If that's in line with other coaches' supplements in other counties. Again, I want us to go in and say, I want us to have some validated data, says this is what other counties pay.
Supporting data,
Let's at the very least bring it up to that. So I think that's only fair.
Okay.
Okay.
Back to the bus drivers. Is there anything we can add in there that would be value added for advertising, recruitment, something to alleviate this problem that we have? Increase our substitute bus driver list. I've seen other counties advertise in various places. Would that help? To even add, I don't know, a $5,000, $10,000 advertising and recruitment budget? It's a question. I don't have the answer. I'm not in HR and marketing,
Mr. Probst, do you have any?
but status quo doesn't seem to work as it is. This is a significant problem.
I don't have an answer. Nobody has an answer. This is a statewide problem. This is not a Carteret County problem. I don't know that in my conversations with my colleagues, they have come up with any answers. Unfortunately, we are in a situation at a time that people don't want to drive buses. And it's difficult.
Well, I mean, what I've heard from a few is they don't want to drive because it's a very difficult thing to do. Your back is to all the children. The children have a different realm on the bus. In the school, they know their structure, they know their rules in their classroom. At home, they know their rules, their structure in their class, or at home. When they're sitting on the bus and the adult's back is to them, their behavior is escalated. Does monitors, volunteer monitors, does anything help that we can recruit more and retain more?
Well, don't we have cameras that,
Some of them.
That's always in hindsight, right?
I know we've
I don't
talked
know if
about it
cameras are
before,
in
and
hindsight
like,
or in real time or not.
Well,
we
don't they
could
watch
definitely
the,
use them to to check reports like that at the school when they're,
Right.
so yes, we're facing. And I know we've talked about like a bonus if they sign on, but then I feel like we've got to give the same to all the bus drivers that are already there doing this every day, so.
And even with the
It's hard.
advertising, I've heard Onslow County advertising it for bus drivers for 2 years.
Absolutely.
Sign-on bonus, $2,500, and keep hearing that same.
so you don't think that helps? That's not an aid? Okay.
I mean, if you had a significant bonus, it may help.
I still would
But
have
can we
feelings
fund
about
it?
giving a bonus to
The
the
problem with
drivers.
a bonus is that if you're going to provide it to new employees, you have to provide it to current employees, and a lot of systems use ESSER's money to provide bonuses up front to their current bus drivers. So, I'd be hard pressed to ask for a sign-on bonus for new bus drivers when you got somebody who's been driving a bus for us for 20 years that wouldn't get the bonus. So I would, I think that's where we
You
are.
kind of look at it like the military, you get a sign-on bonus in the military, but you don't get that bonus. You get half the bonus at half your time, then you get the remainder of the bonus at the end of your enlistment. We could say, you drive for Carteret County for 5 years, you get this bonus. It's kind of like an
Still feel the
investment for
same though,
them
as
to
like the
stay.
ones that have been here for 20 years, I would still.
Right,
feel the
understand,
same.
but they would get that bonus pretty much up front if they've been here longer than 5 years. But those that aren't, the new hires, it would take 5 years, and we could plan for that, for those bonuses at the end of that 5 years. And, you know, there may be some that stay, may not be some.
Right.
I mean, I like that idea. I think we need to take the time to sort of,
Look
I
at
mean,
it
I don't think we
closer.
need to just throw it out there and
Right.
approve that. I like stuff like that. I mean, it gives the people incentive to work for at least 5 years. So, I mean,
I mean, you could do 4 years
Right.
or something like that.
yeah, I think that ideas like that are valuable, so I appreciate that.
As long as we're looking out for our current.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, you got, absolutely. Like he said, you would have to pay your current people
Right.
up front. You know, if it's a $5,000 bonus, and then in 5 years, if you're with us, you get $5,000 or whatever it may be, whatever the number, so.
We would definitely need to have buy-in from commissioners.
I was
If
gonna
That's
say,
an ongoing, we're talking
we
5
still
years
have
from
to-
now.
Yeah, we
paying
need
off
to
the
start
same
taking them out to
bonuses.
dinner a lot.
Yeah, because that would not be.
You media want to take out to dinner, yeah, y'all can support our cause, for raising money. so-
Yeah, it still has to be funded, unfortunately. Okay, so it's definitely something to talk about.
Right.
Okay, do you have any other? Okay, we can do this in 2 parts if we can. First, do the capital budget.
I will make a motion to approve the capital budget as presented.
I second it.
Motion by Mr. Jenkins, second by Ms. Kurzich. All in favor? And now for the operating budget.
I make a motion to approve the operating budget as presented.
Motion by Ms. Wheatley,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Chadwick. All in favor? Perfect.
And do we need to make a motion to
Adjourn.
adjourn, or what about with the supplements?
I think he had the supplements
I
in
make a
there.
motion that
But we can add that separately if you would
supplement
like.
the budget
budget.
with the data that will come to ensure that it will be presented before this is presented to the commissioners.
But starting at the numbers that we've already given.
I think at a minimum,
Okay.
but it would still have to be data-based.
Sure.
So,
Just
will you
clear-
repeat
yeah.
that motion?
Okay.
So I understand that completely.
I make a motion that we supplement the current operating budget with supplemental salary increases for certified, classified, and coaching positions based on the data that will be researched and presented. And this supplemental budget will be presented to the commissioners alongside the operating budget.
Okay, so basically that motion was a motion that says we will do our due diligence, get the data, and we will present it alongside our operating budget.
That's the way I understand.
Okay, perfect. I will second that.
Thank you. Motion by Ms. Kurzich, second by Mr. Jenkins. All in favor? Thank you. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by everyone? No, motion by Ms. Wheatley, second. Second by Ms. Chadwick. All in favor?